because we're recording it, so everyone can have a come back and have a look at anything. And I know you're all super busy. So feel free to ask questions as I work my way through the different parts. And yeah, we spend a lot of time on timesheets. We built it about 5 times because we just didn't initially get it easy enough for the technicians. So we've got a pretty good solution now for the techs. It's pretty easy for them to do. So I'm just going to run through the setting it up, which is it's sort of there by default. There's a few little things you can tweak to make it run a bit smoother. I created four dummy, four mock technicians here. So Tim Timesheets, Tim Team Lead, Tanya Tech, and Sarah Tech, or Sarah Timesheets. And then on the right-hand side, I've got a mock sort of mobile application here, which is just sort of pretending to be on an iPhone or an iPad. And then here's on the schedule. So if I come in here and I change a job's status to accepted or something, it'll get reflected over here straight away. And yeah, I might just change this back to scheduled because I was playing with it a bit this morning. So if I just start off with that scheduled. And yeah, okay, let me jump in. I'm just going to dive in. Just ask away as you need anything, and we'll get rolling. So to start the timesheets, the first thing you might want to do just to save a bit of time is you can default the staff's settings on the timesheet. So if I'm going into my staff here in settings, I can set the default service item, which gets logged against that timesheet entry. And I can set whether they're a team lead. And if they're a team lead, they can actually update other people's timesheets, or they can update, and if they're not a team lead, they can only do their own timesheets. So that's just in staff settings, and that's pretty straightforward. And obviously I've just got a few different staff with a few different levels of access. So I think I've got team lead logged on over here. And let's go jump into it. So to add a timesheet is pretty straightforward. So I'm on the mobile application over here. I jump into my job for Thursday. I've got a job schedule this morning. I jump in and go to timesheets. So everyone feel free to ask a question as I come along. So I go into timesheets. Here, if I hit start, it's just grabbing the current time right now. It's going to default to 9:05, so I can just set current time. And then I do end. So in the 2 hours, I hit end. It actually grabs the end current time as well. So I'm going to make it a bit more interesting. So I'm going to make it, say I finished at 11, just so we don't have to wait 2 hours. Now, I'm going to add that time. Now, I'm a team lead in this scenario. So I'm going to go through and add that time. Say I was logged on so that's just a time entry. So now I have a snapshot. So there's a snapshot later, and I can go to lunch and I can come back and I can say, all right, look, I got back at 12. I got back at 12. Say I got not 12 a.m. because I'm not that diligent. Say I got back at 12 p.m. And then I work through to 3 p.m. say. Then I work through to 3 p.m. So I can just keep adding timesheets as I go along. Or I could add time for the team. So I'm just going to add those timesheets again, service code 2. So I'm building out my timesheet list here. So let's just added some timesheets. Now let's go add some other people to this job. So if I go back to my job list, I should have my job here and details here. Do that? Oh, didn't add. Tanya, Sarah. So, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm just gonna Oh, I can't add her because she's on another job at the same time, and I've got enforced timesheet checking, so it's not letting me add those.
Should be dimension.
Yeah. So, all right, now we've got multiple people on a job. So now I can come in here and I can do, say someone turned up a bit early and finished at the same time. And I can add time record for the whole team. Sorry, say that was the whole team, or say it was an individual. So say that was Sarah just added then, and I did him again. So I'm just going to delete that timesheet. So I'm just pruning my timesheet because I'm a team lead. So now I'm managing everyone's timesheets. I just wanted to get some times in there. So that's done. So let's just go jump on another job where it's this job. Do my own timesheets. Let's do start at 8, finish at 9. Just going to add time. That's just me in there. I'm actually going to log on. I'm actually going to log on as Sarah. No, let me log on as Tanya. So I'm just going to log on as Tanya because I just want to see what it looks like if I'm not a team lead, because that's probably a really common workflow, and that's the simpler workflow where I'm the team lead. I'm just doing my own timesheets, and then that's where you get it just defaults to my service code, so it cuts a few steps out here. So now I'm logged on as Tanya Tech, and I'm going to go to my 3 jobs today. I'm going to go to my 8 a.m. job. I'm just going to do my start time. Say I started at 7 because I'm so diligent, and then I finished at 10. I haven't set her default service code, but that's the step you save if you set a default service code in staff, and then I add my timesheet record in there. Right, so that's timesheets entered. That's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward. So let's jump back to the scheduler view of the world. So now I've got some timesheets added in there. So this is nice. If I hover over the job, I can see that the timesheets have been 6 hours been added against this job on that timesheet. If I come over here for Sarah, I can see 6 hours has been added. If I go to Tanya, see she's done 6 hours then. Harry Houdini, hour and a half, and Clark Kent's done 2 hours. So now I've got a bit of a view of what happened. So let's jump and see what we do with this data. So there's 2 things we'll go through. We'll go through just straight timesheet creation. So now this is the actual hours which were done for this week. So Sarah's done 2, Tanya's done 7.5. This is their planned utilization. So this is hours for the week, and this is actual hours which were done. So I scheduled her for 7, but she only got 2 done. So she's hit 5% utilization. Sorry, that's 5%. Sorry, the target utilization for a week is 40 hours a week, and 2 hours is 5% of that. So that's, and I can set the target because 40 is not actually industry standard. It's more like 32. But I can say 32 is my target hours to be completed for each technician, and what did they actually accomplish. So let's jump into Tim Team Lead's timesheet. So then now this has given me the jobs, the customer, and the service code for that, and then it's grouped by service code. So service call 1 is 5 hours, service call 2 is 5 hours. I can download a PDF of that timesheet or an email that timesheet as a PDF to the technician to say, hey, look, can you review this and approve, or can you just, the approval is just sort of, they can apply to email and say approved, or really they just check it, or they can sign it and send it back to you. All right, any questions?
No.
Someone asked a question, but thank you, Danielle. You did say you would have questions, so you've got to work on some questions for me. Can we do this in our current schedule flow at the moment so we can play with it while you are doing it? that is a really good idea. And yes, you can. So anything I do, you can do at the same time. There's nothing special. This is full production. So you're totally right to jump in there and have a play. And totally feel free to ask questions as we go through it and get me to repeat stuff if you want. I am recording it, so you can totally, it takes a little while to process, but once it's processed, I'll send it out to everyone, so everyone will have a recording of it. So that's timesheets, reports. Now, the other thing which might happen is you're doing a time and materials job, where you literally want to bill the actual hours which were done on that job. So now if I open up my job number 8, Sarah did 2 hours, Tim did 2 hours, Tim Timesheets did 2 hours, and Tim Team Lead did 2 hours. Now I want to copy those across because I'm just going to bill those hours they did. I'm just going to remove what I had in there. I just had some play data. I'm going to take these actual timesheet hours and I'm just going to copy them across to my job. So now they're all in my job, and now I'm just going to invoice the actual hours on the job. So I'm just going to generate my invoice here. So that's just my invoice. I've got an invoice in there, and then I can send that invoice off or whatever. I've got my invoice in there. That's now actual hours, time and materials invoice. And that's ready to go. So that's just copy to billable. So any job which has got timesheets on it, they'll in here. We're missing a feature which I really want to work on, which will get done not too far away, probably sprint after next. And that is to have the scheduler be able to add timesheets. You can always add, obviously, billable items in here, but to actually just build out that timesheet, say they ring up and say, oh, can you add 2 hours for Ra? Right now, it's the technician. You have to be logged in as the technician to add the timesheets for the technician or as the team lead. So that's the main workflow. I just need to check my notes. Oh yeah, so there is another really cool thing we're working on, which is to try and give you a running sort of profit and loss on each job, so you can see what your position is on a job while you're working. So we're just trying to get, now that we've got timesheets, we're trying to get a really much more accurate picture of your costs as you're working through a job. So in this example, I've just gone to the customer here, Peter Pandem, for Pandemonium, and I come in Pandemonium, and then I come in here and I can see, say, this job, I look, my actual timesheet costs based on that timesheet code on those hours was $150. So that's my actual costs. The product costs I added to the job were $50 in materials. I had a quote for $500. So I made $400 profit on gross profit, actual profit, because there's other costs, but gross profit on that job. So that's just part of what we're working towards, is to try and give you a sort of P&L view of what's happening during the project. During, for a job or multiple jobs, you can start to get a picture of how things are going. We eventually want to build out a dashboard up here, so you're going to get a really good picture of what's going on in your business. And timesheets are really a key part to that, because they track what actually happened. So I might have scheduled 4 hours, but I might have done 3, or I might have done 5, and that's really where your costs are coming in, and that's your opportunity to do other work and that sort of stuff. Bree, did you get a chance to go through and play with it while we're playing with it? Do you have any questions? Does anyone have any questions? Did I go too fast, or is that sort of reasonably straightforward? Danielle?
Any questions in relation to how you would use it?
Hi. So Bree's been playing. Thank you, Bree. That's cool. And Danielle, did you have any questions?
No.
No, that's all right. That's all good. Like I said, this is recorded. You can hit me up anytime and ask anything at any stage. And I know you're all super busy. Is that pretty straightforward?
I don't know until I do it.
Yeah, okay, that's a really good point. So, yeah, maybe just have a play. We're going to run these webinars every week. So, whenever there's anything you want us to focus on, you can just flick me an email and say, hey, Paul, can we cover this in this webinar coming up next week? So, I just want to sort of build out some education material to just help everyone get on board and also help us get some feedback. No, so Bree just asked a question. Yay, our first question for our first webinar. So do I need to go in and mark the boys as team leads who I want doing timesheets? Now, everyone gets the ability to do timesheets. It just defaults to they only do their own timesheet. So if you want someone to do someone else's timesheets, then you need to go and set team lead. Otherwise, it's all set up and ready to go. And everything I went through is there. If you want to default to a particular service code, you just go to staff and you set the default service code. Otherwise, they just choose it on the fly. So you're pretty much ready to rock and roll.
And those you've all set up in the settings.
Yeah, and that's all set up in settings. So I'm not going to take up more of your time because I wanted this to be pretty effective and efficient for you all. Flick me a message, email message at any time. Just another question here. So if I want the qualified doing the apprentices timesheets, they don't have iPads, do I set the qualified up as team lead? Yes, exactly. That's exactly what that's for. Yep. So you can have only one person on the job who's actually managing that job in Scheduleflow, and they can just check everyone's timesheets and make sure, yep, they're right. And then you can email a PDF of that timesheet at the end of the week or the end of the day even to just make sure they're all reviewing and they're happy. That's cool. Any last questions?
No.
All right, awesome. I'm going to wrap that up. And if there's anything you'd like to focus on next week, please just let me know. Just ping me and we'll do that. All right, lovely. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, Bree. Thank you, Danielle.
Do you want to ask everybody what this was?
Yeah, was this worthwhile, I guess?
I think so.
It's really getting in and playing with it to see how it's all going to work, isn't it?
Yeah, and making sure the boys do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, so don't forget, if you hover over the job, you can see whether they're doing them during the day. Yeah, have a play. All right, that's a consensus. All right, I hope to hear from you, and thank you very much, and I'll let you get into your day, and I'll talk to you all later.
Thank you.
Yes. Bye.
Bye. Yeah.